everyone, this is Yano in Kids&Reading interview. Today's interview is Cheon, who is my classmate. She wrote 2 theses in Harry Potter A class. One is about biodiversity and the other one is about pandemic. And the 2 thesis topics will be our interview's main topic. I hope all of you guys enjoyed this interview and please welcome Cheon.
Yeah, thank you for the clap. Yeah, as she said, I wrote 2 theses during the first semester of this year about biodiversity and the pandemic. So I will be sharing my ideas and some information about my thesis. So I hope you will learn a lot from this interview and enjoy this time. Thanks.
Thank you for your self-introducing, Cheon. Now we will start our interview about biodiversity. But I think most of our audience doesn't know what is biodiversity. So could you explain what it is? And as you wrote in your thesis, the biodiversity is keep reducing nowadays. Could you tell us what is the reason of it?
Sure. First of all, biodiversity is originally a compound word of the biological diversity. So it is a scale of measuring how various creatures are there in a particular ecosystem. Also, it is divided into 3 terms of diversity, which are ecosystem, species, and genetic diversity. Oh yeah, ecosystem diversity is simply just the difference between the areas having the environmental conditions features like forest, desert, and ocean kind of thing. And species diversity is like, yeah, I think it will be the most familiar concept to us because it is just difference between you and a cat and an oak tree kind of thing. And the genetic diversity is when you go to a pet shop or just look for a bunch of dogs, there are terriers and bulldogs or huskies. There are various kind of like different dogs, even if they are included in same species called dog. So that is genetic diversity. And yeah, biodiversity is surely has been reduced, and it is because biodiversity itself represents the constitution and balance of nature. So if nature gets destroyed and polluted, it means the biodiversity will be reduced because the biodiversity is just like the distribution of the environment. So if environmental destruction happens, then biodiversity reduction just was leave. And so yeah, that is why.
Thank you for your detailed answer, Cheon. Now, me and all of our audience know what is the reason of biodiversity. But what will happen if it keeps reducing like this? What can be the problem of reducing biodiversity?
Yeah, it is a very huge problem. I said that biodiversity reduction is happened by the nature environmental destructions. And biodiversity reduction leads to imbalance of nature environment because biodiversity is the distribution and constitution of nature. So yeah, it also, when environmental destruction happens, then biodiversity being reduced, then the nature got imbalanced, then again the unbalanced nature again leads to the environmental destruction because if the balance between the creatures in particular ecosystem is not so well balanced or good, then environmental destruction inevitably happens. So yeah, if it decreases continuously, then it'll also repeat the same cycle of nature destruction. And also here is a good example of the biodiversity reductions problem. Do you like bananas?
Yes, I do.
Do you guys like bananas? Yeah, I like it too. In the past, Some people only wanted the bananas without the seeds inside of it. So they just started to plant all the seedless bananas only and removed all the bananas with seeds. So it means the genetic diversity between the banana individuals has decreased a lot because they're only the seedless ones. So the genetic information's variety has been reduced. So when there happened infectious disease called Panama disease starting from Congo, it killed almost all of the bananas because the genetic informations were too limited inside only the seedless bananas. So they had no genetic features to fight against the banana virus and overcome it. So yeah, it was really a big problem, and yeah, it is really serious that biodiversity has been reduced.
Well, reducing biodiversity is much dangerous than I imagined. And this is our last question for biodiversity. We have to move on to your next topic, pandemic. Thank you. And as I mentioned, nowadays there are so many countries which are affected by COVID-19. Why COVID-19 is not over so soon? And what are the differences and commonalities between COVID-19 and the previous one?
Yeah, it is also a very good question, I think. First of all, to explain the reason that COVID-19 isn't over yet, I will just first of all compare the previous one and COVID-19. I'll explain you by comparing Spanish flu because I just said before. Spanish flu made much more infective, much more death and much more infected than COVID-19, right?
Yes.
Yeah, but it was found that it was really just influenza A virus, which are just called as flu among us. So it is not that deadly and scary virus if it happens nowadays, but at that time the prevention system was very weak, so it was deadly for people, but nowadays it doesn't. However, COVID-19 is way more easier to be spread between the people, and actually we haven't been prepared for COVID-19 because we had lack of information about the genetic forms of COVID-19, and it took very long time for a vaccine to come out. So yeah, I think that is the reason that COVID-19 hasn't finished yet.
Okay, and this is our last question for our interview, sadly. Even if COVID-19 over, there will be a new pandemic in the future, right?
Right.
Then why should we prepare for the new pandemic?
Through going through COVID-19, we finally realized that a disease, a small virus, can endanger our daily life and our family and our friends. Also, producing vaccine as well as treatments becomes really harder if there are many mutations like alpha to delta plus in case of COVID-19. So I think international society and associations or organizations like WHO or UN must pay more attention and more investment for the viral researches more than military or economic things, because virus is the problem of threatening our actual life.
Yes.
So it is really important to invest and pay more attention for it. And education for ordinary people like me and you or all of you guys will be needed much more than nowadays, because knowing is the power that we can only have. So yeah, education will be necessary too. Thanks.
Thank you. It was very interesting time with Cheon. And I think all of our audience are thinking just same thoughts with me too. So it's time to finish our interview. Thank you for joining this interview today, Cheon.
Yeah, thank you so much. It is a big